The text came at 2 in the morning, and 4 months of freedom almost disappeared in 10 seconds until I recognized the exact manipulation tactic he was using to pull me back. I am going to show you that tactic so you never fall for it again. Let me take you back to the beginning so you can see how I got here. The first time he came back, I did not even know there was a name for what he was doing. We had broken up after a massive fight where he told me I was too needy, too emotional, too much. He said he needed space to figure out his life. I was devastated, but I respected his decision. I stopped texting. I stopped calling. I deleted his number so I would not be tempted to reach out when I was feeling weak. 3 weeks later, he showed up at my apartment with flowers. Not just any flowers, the exact kind I had mentioned loving in a conversation 6 months earlier, a detail I had barely remembered myself. He was standing there in the rain, looking vulnerable and lost, telling me he had made the biggest mistake of his life. He said he had spent every single day thinking about me. He said he realized that what we had was rare, and he had been too scared to appreciate it. I let him in. Of course I let him in. For 2 weeks, everything was perfect. He was attentive, affectionate, present in a way he had never been before. He talked about our future. He mentioned meeting my parents again, maybe taking that trip we had always planned. I felt like I was floating. I told my best friend that he had finally figured it out, that whatever had been blocking him from commitment had cleared, and now we could really be together. Then slowly, he started pulling away again. First, he stopped texting as much. Then he started canceling plans. Then he began criticizing little things, the way I laughed too loud at restaurants, the way I asked too many questions about his day. Within a month, we were right back where we started, with me feeling confused and desperate, wondering what I had done wrong. When I tried to bring up the promises he had made during those 2 perfect weeks, he looked at me like I was speaking another language. I never said we were getting back together for good, he told me, his voice flat and cold. I said I wanted to try. You are the one who built it up into something it was not. I remember sitting there, feeling like the floor had disappeared beneath me. I knew he had said those things. I knew he had made those promises, but he was so convincing, so calm, so certain that I had misunderstood, that I started questioning my own memory. That night, I went back through our text messages from those 2 weeks, reading every word, trying to figure out where I had gotten it wrong. The messages were exactly as I remembered them. He had said he loved me. He had said he wanted to build a life together. He had used the word forever. But when I showed him the messages the next day, he just shrugged. Words are just words, he said. You cannot hold me accountable for things I said when I was emotional. I wish I could tell you that was the moment I left, but it was not. The second time he pulled me back was 5 months later. I have been doing better. I had started seeing someone new, someone kind and steady and predictable in all the ways that used to bore me, but now felt like safety. I had not thought about my ex in weeks. Then he called me from the hospital. His voice was weak, strained. He told me he had been in an accident, that he was alone, that he had no one else to call. He said my name like it hurt him to say it, like he was embarrassed to be asking me for help but had no other choice. I drove to the hospital in a panic. My heart was racing the entire way. I kept thinking about how fragile life is, how stupid our fights had been, how none of it mattered if he was really hurt. When I got there, he was sitting in the waiting room, completely fine. No visible injuries, no bandages, no wheelchair. He looked up at me with those sad eyes and said, "I knew you would come." It turned out he had gone to the emergency room for anxiety. He had not been in an accident. He had not been hurt. He had just been feeling overwhelmed and alone, and he wanted to see if I still cared enough to show up. I should have left right then. I should have turned around and walked out. But he started crying, telling me how much he had missed me, how empty his life felt without me, how he had been trying to change, but he did not know how to do it without my support. We got back together that night. This time, the perfect phase lasted less than a week. By the third time, Something had shifted in me. I started paying attention differently. I started noticing the timing of when he would reach out, always when I was moving forward, always when I had started to feel happy again, always when I had found something or someone that made me feel valued. And I started noticing the lies, not the big obvious ones, but the perfectly crafted ones that targeted exactly what I needed to hear at that moment. When I felt abandoned, he would promise he would never leave again. When I felt crazy from all his denial and contradiction, he would suddenly validate my feelings. When I felt unlovable, he would come back declaring his undying devotion. He knew exactly what I needed to hear because he was the one who made me need it in the first place. I started keeping a journal. Every time he reached out, I wrote down what he said and what happened afterward. The patterns became impossible to ignore. There was always a trigger, something in my life that threatened his control. A new relationship, a promotion at work, a vacation with friends, anything that suggested I was building a life without him. Then came the bait, a message or gesture designed to make me feel something strong enough to respond. Never casual, never neutral, always urgent or deeply meaningful or emotionally charged. If I responded, he would flood me with attention and affection and promises. He would be everything I had ever wanted him to be. This would last just long enough for me to recommit, to cancel plans with the new person I was seeing, to let my guard down completely. Then, once he felt secure that I was back under his influence, he would start withdrawing. The criticism would return, the coldness would return, the chaos would return, at which point he would either end things himself or do something so hurtful that I would end things, but always in a way that left the door open for him to come back later, never fully closed, always some thread of hope or ambiguity that he could pull on when he needed to. I showed this journal to my therapist. She asked me a question that changed everything. What do you think he gets out of this? I had been so focused on trying to figure out what I was doing wrong, how I could make him stay, how I could be enough, that I had never stopped to ask what he was actually getting from this pattern. The answer hit me like cold water: control. Every time he pulled me back, he proved to himself that he could. Every time I answered his text, showed up at the hospital, let him back into my life, I confirmed for him that I was still under his influence. It did not matter if he actually wanted to be with me long term. What mattered was that he could make me want to be with him, that he could pull my strings whenever he felt like it. I was not a person to him. I was a source of validation, a way to regulate his own unstable sense of self-worth. When he was feeling low, he could reach out to me and watch me come running, which made him feel powerful and wanted. When he was feeling good, he could discard me, which made him feel independent and in control. I was a tool he used to manage his own emotional state, nothing more. Understanding this was devastating, but it was also the beginning of my freedom. The fourth time he tried was so predictable, I almost laughed. I had started dating someone new, someone healthy. I had posted a picture of us together, smiling, at a concert. Within 24 hours, my ex sent me a message. I saw your picture. You look happy. I am happy for you. I just wanted you to know that I have been doing a lot of work on myself. I am not reaching out to get back together. I just want to apologize for how I treated you. You deserved better. I hope he treats you the way I should have. It was perfect, humble, selfless, mature. The kind of message that would make most people feel touched and want to respond with gratitude or closure. But I had read this script before. I knew that if I responded, even just to say thank you, he would take it as an opening. He would start asking how I was doing. He would want to catch up. He would suggest meeting for coffee to have a real conversation. He would slowly work his way back into my life under the guise of friendship or closure. And before I knew it, we would be right back in the same cycle. So I did not respond. I took a screenshot of the message and added it to my journal, noting the date and the trigger. Then I deleted the message and went back to my life. 2 weeks later, he tried again. This time, the message was more direct. I know you are seeing someone, but I need you to know that I am in love with you. I have always been in love with you. I made a mistake letting you go. Can we please talk? I am not asking you to leave him. I just need to say this to you in person." Again, I did not respond. He tried 5 more times over the next 2 months. Each message targets a different emotional vulnerability. "I am not doing well. I think about you every day. I ran into your friend at the store. She said you seemed happy. I am glad, but it hurts. I had a dream about you. We were back at that restaurant where we had our first date. I woke up and realized I have never felt that way about anyone else. I am sorry for reaching out so much. I will stop. I just needed you to know that you were the best thing that ever happened to me. I am deleting your number. I cannot keep doing this to myself. Goodbye." Each message was designed to provoke a different response: sympathy, guilt, nostalgia, relief that he was finally moving on. But I knew that any response, even anger or annoyance, would give him what he wanted, proof that he could still affect me. So I stayed silent. After 3 months of silence, the messages stopped. I wish I could say that was the end of it, but the pattern just changed form. 6 months later, he sent me a friend request on a platform I had forgotten I even had an account on. Then he liked an old photo of mine from 2 years ago, making sure I would see the notification. He started watching all my stories, always one of the first viewers, a silent presence, reminding me he was still paying attention. When none of that worked, he started reaching out to my friends, asking how I was doing, casually mentioning that he missed me. He ran into my sister at a coffee shop and chatted with her for 20 minutes, charming and friendly, making sure she would mention it to me later. He posted vague, melancholic quotes on social media that he knew I would see, lyrics about lost love and regret. All of it was designed to get me to break my silence. And that is when I finally understood the real truth. It was not really about getting me back. It was about testing whether he still had power over me. It was about seeing if he could still make me react, make me care, make me engage. Every attempt to pull me back was a question: are you still under my control? And every response, no matter how brief or angry or dismissive, was an answer: yes. The only way to truly answer no is to not answer at all. There were nights when I wanted so badly to respond, to tell him how much he had hurt me, to ask him why he kept doing this, to demand real answers and real closure. But I had learned something crucial. Closure does not come from them. It comes from you. Closure is not a conversation where they finally admit what they did and apologize sincerely. Closure is not an explanation that makes everything make sense. Closure is not them finally seeing your worth and regretting their choices. Closure is you deciding that you no longer need anything from them. Not an apology, not an explanation, not validation, nothing. That 2 a.m. text I told you about at the beginning, the one about therapy and understanding and wanting to talk, I read it 3 times. I let myself feel the pull, the hope, the temptation. I acknowledged that part of me still wanted to believe him, still wanted to see if maybe this time was real. Then I deleted it. I did not block the number. I did not send an angry message telling him to leave me alone. I just deleted it and put my phone down and went back to sleep. Because I had finally learned that the only way to stop someone from pulling you back is to stop participating in the pattern. Now let me tell you exactly how to protect yourself from this, because understanding it is only half the battle. You need a strategy that actually works. You have to start by accepting that when they reach out, it has nothing to do with you. They are not reaching out because they genuinely miss you or love you or want to make things right. Something in their life has triggered their need for validation, and you are a reliable source. You are interchangeable. If you were not available, they would be doing this to someone else. You need to learn to identify the bait. Every attempt comes with a hook designed to trigger your emotions and make you respond. Is it an apology, an emergency, a declaration of love, a nostalgic memory? Whatever it is, recognize it for what it is. Manipulation. Do not take the bait. Just do not respond at all. Cut off all contact. Block them on everything: phone, social media, email, everything. If you share mutual friends, ask those friends not to pass along messages. If you have to co-parent or work together, use a third-party mediator or communicate only through a structured platform that keeps emotions out of it. Prepare yourself for things to get worse before they get better. When you first cut off contact, the attempts will often intensify. They will try harder, reach out more frequently, use more extreme tactics. Psychologists call this an extinction burst. Expect this. Do not let it break you. The intensity is actually a good sign. It means your boundary is working. Document everything. Keep a record of every attempt. Screenshot messages. Save voicemails. Write down when they show up at your house or contact your friends. This helps you see the pattern clearly, which makes it harder for them to convince you that you are overreacting. And if things ever escalate, you will have evidence to support a restraining order. Build a support system that understands what you are dealing with. Tell your friends and family about the pattern. Explain that you are not interested in hearing updates about your ex or passing along messages. You need people in your corner who will remind you why you left when you are tempted to go back. Work on strengthening your own sense of self. This pattern works because it exploits your need for closure, validation, or love. The stronger your sense of self-worth, the less vulnerable you are to these tactics. Therapy can help. So can journaling, meditation, exercise, creative projects, anything that helps you reconnect with who you are outside of this relationship. Learn to distinguish between missing the person and missing the fantasy. When you feel tempted to respond, ask yourself what you are actually missing. Are you missing the real person, the one who manipulated you and made you feel small? Or are you missing the fantasy version, the one they pretended to be during those perfect phases, the one who made you feel special and chosen and loved? That fantasy version never really existed. It was a mask. Give yourself permission to grieve properly. This pattern prevents you from moving on because it keeps reopening the wound. Every time they reach out, you are pulled back into the emotional turmoil, which means you never get a chance to fully process the loss and heal. Let yourself be sad. Let yourself feel angry. Acknowledge that even though the relationship was harmful, it still mattered to you. But do that grieving without them. Rewrite the story you are telling yourself. Right now, you might be thinking that you were not good enough, that you did something wrong, that if only you had been different, the relationship would have worked. That story makes you vulnerable because it makes you want to prove your worth by getting them back. The truth is that the relationship failed because they were not capable of healthy love, not because you were not worthy of it. You did not fail. They did. Remember that you do not owe them anything, not a response, not closure, not an explanation, not forgiveness, nothing. They hurt you. They manipulated you. They treated you like an object to be controlled rather than a person to be loved. Protecting yourself is not cruel. It is necessary. The pattern will not stop until you stop rewarding it with your attention. Every time you respond, you teach them that persistence works, that if they just try hard enough or say the right thing, they can get you back. You have to be willing to be the one who breaks the cycle. I know it feels harsh. I know it feels cold. I know there is a part of you that still cares about them and does not want to hurt them by ignoring them. But here is what I wish someone had told me earlier. By continuing to engage with this pattern, you are not being kind. You are participating in your own harm. You are teaching them that your boundaries do not matter, that your needs are negotiable, that their desire for control is more important than your right to peace. You deserve a life where you are not constantly looking over your shoulder, waiting for the next attempt. You deserve relationships where love is consistent, where promises are kept, where you are valued for who you are, not for what you provide. You deserve to feel safe, and the only way to get that is to stop answering the door when they come knocking. Look, I know this is hard. I know you are tired. I know part of you is still holding on to hope that maybe they will change, that maybe this time will be different. But I need you to hear this. They will not change. Not because you are not worth changing for, but because they do not see a problem with how they operate. To them, this pattern is working perfectly. They get what they need, your attention and validation, without having to do the actual work of building a healthy relationship. You cannot love someone into becoming better. You cannot sacrifice enough of yourself to fill the void inside them. That change has to come from within them, and it will only happen when they decide it is necessary, which they never will, as long as you keep coming back. So please, do yourself this one kindness. Stop answering. Stop hoping. Stop waiting for them to finally see your worth. You already know your worth. You do not need them to validate it. Walk away. Stay away. Build the life you deserve with people who know how to love you properly. And if you found this helpful, if you recognize yourself in this story, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and share this video. Not for me, but as a promise to yourself that you are done participating in patterns that harm you. Let that click be your first step toward freedom. You have got this. I promise you, you have got this.